Roger, thanks for joining me for this conversation on NFTs. We're very thankful to have you be a part of NFT NYC this year, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you and all the things that you're working on at Tempo Venture Studio with your team. So, can you please introduce yourself and give us a little background?
Yeah, hey, Ian, thanks for taking the time. Very happy to be here. My name is Roger Chabra. I'm the CEO and founder of Tempo Venture Studio, and our platform that we're launching very soon is called FanTempo. In terms of what we do two things in the music industry. So we're a fund, so we partner with top level musicians to fund their NFT community. So that's kind of the first pillar of what we do. The second pillar is we're a studio, and we focus on content, and we leverage a lot of the pervasive, kind of components of the NFT ecosystem that are already out there, whether they be marketplaces or wallets. And we build custom programming and communities, leveraging the funding side and the assets and interests and vision of top level musicians.
When top level musicians come to you and they say, hey, we have IP, we have community, we have vision, we have resources that we'll throw behind it. When they come, what is the primary thing that you want them to be focused on that they're bringing to the table? And what is the thing that you're bringing to the table as a studio so that people can kind of come to you with these potential developments and everybody has the same kind of, thing in mind in terms of where you go from beginning to
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an excellent question. We bring the same discipline to a musician that they would take when they're launching an album or they're kicking off a tour or they're embarking on a new business venture, whether it's a streetwear line, a sneaker company, perfume company, lingerie company. So ultimately where we start and, we spend a lot of time on is what's the unique kind of, selling proposition of the artist, and what are the personas of their fans that we're trying to reach, and how do we build that bridge, right? So forget, starting with tech and what's capable, what the tech's capable today. Today it's PFPs and, some audio stuff, and tomorrow it'll be the metaverse. We always ground ourselves in that original thinking, which is why are fans attracted to this musician, and how do we build on that bridge? Because ultimately that's what NFTs are all about. They're all about a direct conversation between artists and their fans. So that's where we start.
When the conversation gets to tech, platform, product, how do you navigate that to not get people distracted on that portion, but still, they have an appetite for knowledge. And so how do you still satisfy that and touch base and give them an introduction to like, hey, here's what we're doing and how we're doing it and why this is the method by which we go to.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of different ways to answer that question. Ultimately, we're working with big musicians, so we're looking at musicians that have more than 5 or 10 million Spotify listeners every month on Spotify or Apple Music. Pick your platform. So that means we're generally focused on the general kind of consumer fan base, right? And so we're okay with experimentation, but we need to be able to hit and use technology and platforms that have that kind of audience in mind, right? So we can push the envelope in some cases, and we do like to experiment. But again, it's like part of the analysis we do up front is, the artist and how do they reach their fan with what, not only which content, but what are the technology capabilities of that fan? How are we going to reach that in a way that, everyone has an even playing field and can consume the content and engage with the content?
When you start to project out what you're driving towards in terms of the future, and let's say you're sitting down, maybe it's post a successful project, and now it's like, okay, let's map out the next 2 or 3 years. And the phrase gets thrown around in the boardroom or on a Zoom meeting, NFT 2024. Like, what are we going to accomplish, or what do we hope to accomplish? What are we, projecting that could happen for this project, or in your case, for your studio in the next couple of years? I'd love to hear a little vision casting from you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're consistently evolving, and we're keeping up with the technology. Ultimately, this is about a direct conversation between a musician and an artist, and that's what attracted me to this space. I had been trying for years and looking for years as both an entrepreneur and as an investor to find something in the music industry, because that's what I'm passionate about, right? That's my holy grail. And this, this capability and this type of conversation has only become available and pervasive because of the blockchain and because of what NFTs are bringing to the equation. So today, we work with some amazing talent agencies, we work with some amazing record labels, we work with amazing business managers. Ultimately, the future is a direct conversation between large artists and their fans. And that's what we're here to really, facilitate, is that two-way conversation without having gatekeepers, without having, any barriers in between.
So when people are gathered at NFT NYC and they bump into you, they run into you, and maybe they're a prospect, right? They'd be a good fit for you to have a conversation. They're a musician or they represent a musician. How do these conversations get started? What's A in the process of A to Z? What's the A conversation that you'd like to have with new prospects? And maybe I should also ask, are you taking on new partners and new clients? Are you open to new projects? Because that's also important. Otherwise, there's no reason to have conversations.
No, I mean, we're incredibly busy, but we're certainly, looking to scale and reach as many people as we can with what we're doing. I mean, ultimately, we tend to do well with people who are starting to think about NFTs in a more thoughtful way. So we stay away from one-off drops. There's nothing wrong with that. I think, people have done extremely well in that market, and, they can build up the hype cycle, drop, and then, go undercover and then come back again. We don't do one-off drops. We build long-term communities. And so typically someone's had, the musicians had some exposure, whether it's through a one-off drop or, they've been a collab in some sort of drop previously. And we like that, right? Because then we can juxtapose what we're doing against the one-off drop, which is a long-term commitment really to your fan base. Because when you're dropping an initial membership token, you're also signing up for a utility function and a roadmap function, which could last forever, right? And so that's how they typically come to us. They're interested in the NFT space. They want to do something different. They want to directly talk to their fans. The next step is really us, jiving with the musician, right? It's the same way that the process goes when they're choosing a record label, or they're choosing a producer, or they're choosing someone to collaborate on a song with. There has to be a human connection between my team and the musician. Otherwise, it's just not going to go anywhere, because they have so much to lose, especially the more established musicians that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years. They've built their brand and their reputation to a point where NFTs are just seen as risky to them, right? And if they do the wrong thing, they're positioned as just going for the money grab, or they can hurt their fans, or it can impact other parts of their business. So they have to trust that we have their brand and their best interests and their fans at the forefront of anything that we're going to do together. So, and then from there it kind of scales in terms of a conversation, in terms of what they want to do.
So if you had everybody's attention at our event, and let's say they're all in Times Square, you have all the billboards, and you can, make a statement. Now, keep in mind, this is not new people, right? These are the established people building. These are established investors, enthusiasts, and collectors. What do you think they need to hear to propel them forward into post November 4th after the event?
Yeah, so that's another great question. I think we've gotten to this point in the NFT industry because of the external and environmental factors that we've all been faced with. There's been a pandemic. It's new in terms of a platform. And so we've seen manifestations that I think, there's the whole saying that art is life, life is art, right? And so I think NFTs have reflected to this point the pandemic and kind of the external environment that we're in. Now that the world's opening up a little bit and we're starting to do IRL stuff and people can interact, it's really just about going out there and having your eyes and ears open as to where we can take this, right? And so obviously we came up with PFPs because everybody was sitting in their basements and sitting in their rooms, and it's that was the way to express yourselves. But I'm really looking forward to a world where people express themselves in the physical world, and how do we tie that with digital? And the only way we're going to get that right is by interacting and learning and experimenting based on conversations and experiences we have in the real world. So I'm super excited for it.
Well, we're excited that you're a part of our event. Certainly wouldn't be the same without you. I always enjoy having these conversations. It's funny that we post them live and people are watching our conversations potentially. If you are watching live or see the archive, thank you for your attention. We're grateful that you're tuned in. If you don't know me, my name's Ian Utila. I'm one of the co-producers at NFT NYC, and I get to hang out with incredible people like Roger. So Roger, thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in New York.